Hello, everyone. Welcome to this online spiritual gathering where we are spiritual seekers united in community. Thank you for choosing to take this time to be with us, to be still, to seek inspiration, to be comforted and challenged, to rest in this gift of time, in the gift of music, stillness, story, reflection. Welcome to each of you wherever you are this day, from whatever geography you're joining us from whatever climate you find yourself in, whether, like most of Western Canada and the United States, you're shrouded in smoke or experiencing a break from the extreme heat. And however you would describe the weather in your heart, whether for you today you're feeling mainly sunny, or you're feeling overcast with a few sunny periods, or you're in the intermittent showers of grief and sadness, we're grateful that you have joined us here at SSUC, where we are spiritual seekers, united in community, coming to you in this gathering from Edmonton to wherever it is you place your life and you find yourself this day. We're continuing to explore our summer series, Windows to Wonder, pondering the everyday sacraments. And today, ironically or intentionally, we are exploring the sacrament of smoke. Even as we find ourselves in the midst of smoke from forest fires, we ponder the place of smoke in the world of our stories and ceremonies. I'm delighted to welcome my teammate Christopher New back from a blink of vacation time. We've missed you over these summer weeks, and we're hoping that this time provided a bit of change and a bit of rest for you. Chris and I are joined in welcoming you this morning by Janice, who is at the piano today, Deb and Pam, who are leading us in song, Dawn, who will place the voice of the violin in our gathering and who will stand in for all of you and help monitor our live stream on Facebook, and for Andrea and Dara, who are providing the technical support in the booth. Each of us, we join together in welcoming your presence with us in this time. As we bring ourselves to the gift of this time, we sing our wonder.
When we see the wonder of a sunset, hear sweet music in the air, feel the power in a thunderstorm, sense connection everywhere. It's the wonder of life that we celebrate in awe and gratitude. The miracle of life that amazes us and leaves us humbled and moved. When we see the majesty of mountains, hear the robin's tuneful song, feel the mystery of the universe, sense the way we all belong. It's the wonder of life that we celebrate in awe and gratitude. The miracle of life that amazes us and leaves us humbled and moved. When we see the faces all around us, hear words of comfort and of care, feel the gentle touch of sympathy, sense the warmth warmth as it is shared. It's the wonder of life that we celebrate in awe and gratitude. The miracle of life that amazes us and leaves us humbled and moved as we see with our eyes and hear with our ears and feel in our heart and soul. We realize we're part of the miracle, a part of the wonder of it all.
Hi, and welcome. I'm glad to be back with you. It is always good to have a break, and it was a good break, but it is always good to come back as well. Come back to this community, to be back with my teammate, to be back with the people that bring you this gathering to you each week. Grateful to be back with you at home. It's time to light our candles, and as per usual, we invite you, like we have for a long time now, to light a candle along with us. So we invite you to do that now. Find a candle, find a light, and light it with us. We know that our connection is strong and important, and our connection is fragile but enduring. So this light reminds us of those principles, those ideals that we share as a community, those values we explore with one another, to live more closely as we pray, to live as we would hope the world would be. And as we do, we light a flame that reminds us of the ideas, the relationships, the love that we share. During this gathering, we return our gaze to this candle to remind us of these things. Even during the week, why not light it when we need a little connection, when we need a reminder of the love, of the connection, of the community that we have with one another. As we move into a time of learning, we want to share with you a teaching, a ritual, and a practice of the Indigenous tradition. When it comes to practices we can experience with one another beyond our own traditions, it's a chance to learn, an important step in our understanding, in our listening, in reconciliation. Here's a time for our learning.
Here at Trent University, we participate in smudging, and it would be a great opportunity, and you'll come across an opportunity for you to participate in that. And so please just engage in it. So what we do is, if we're offering a smudge, it's like a little ceremony, and usually our elders lead it. We have 4 medicines, but there are 3 that we use for smudging: sweetgrass, sage, and cedar. And generally we use sage here when we're smudging. So that's usually the primary one that we use. And so what we would do is we'd stand in a circle, and an elder would lead, or a knowledge holder would lead. And what you would do is when they get to you, is you take that smoke and it's like washing your face. So you take the smoke and you cleanse yourself with it. And what it does is it helps you clear away any negative energy and just be present to what's unfolding right now in your life. And it helps move away those irritants that can get stuck on us. And so it's always an amazing opportunity. You always feel so much clearer and present at the end of it. When we smudge, really, it's an opportunity to cleanse. So like, we don't want anything to get in the way. So usually we'll take our glasses off, and we can put it over the smoke if you want to cleanse them. I generally do that because I just really like putting it back on my face that way. And so what we do is we'll take that smoke. I said it was like washing, so that's what you would do. So you take the smoke and you're going to clean your mind over you so that you can think good thoughts or welcome those good thoughts. And then you're going to clean your eyes so you can see good things. You can see your pathway, the pathway you're going in a good way. And then you're going to clear your ears so you can hear good things coming in to your life. And then you're going to clean your mouth, because those words that you want to speak need to come from kindness and compassion. And so it's really important for us to remember that as well. And then we generally will do our heart so that we can feel in a good way. And then all of us, so as we move on our path, then we can move on our path in a good way.
It's a song of praise for the sacred. The thrush sings high in the tree. It's a song of praise for the sacred. The gray whale sings in the sea. And from our spirit, you and I can join our voice to the cosmic cry and sing, sing, sing of the sacred tune. It's a hymn of love for all loving. The bumblebees hum along. It's a hymn of love for all loving. The summer breeze joins the song, and from our spirit, you and I can join our voice to the cosmic cry and sing, sing, sing of the sacred tune. It's the chorus of all creation. It's sung by all living things. It's the chorus of all creation, a song the universe sings. And from our spirit, you and I can join our voice to the cosmic cry and sing, sing, sing of the sacred tune.
I want to share a reading with you from the writings of Ron Atkinson at the time that he was the United Church of Canada minister on Quadra Island, serving the community of Cape Mudge, a First Nations community, where he learned about holy smoke. An elder in Cape Mudge had been telling me how every native village was blessed with a mingling of smoke from the many fires of the community. Each year, in the shortening days before winter, the whole village enjoys a quiet festival, the barbecuing and smoking of the pink gold treasures of the salmon harvest. Once again, for a brief time, smoke rises and lingers above the houses. There was a time when smoke communicated the presence of the holy. Where there is smoke, there is fire. The fire of the sacred energy at the heart of life, the hearth of creation. It was on a smoke-wrapped Mount Sinai where Moses encountered Yahweh. Isaiah's vision in the temple describes how the house was filled with smoke. In the same way, the people of this continent were experiencing the communion of the sacred pipe, the sweat lodge, and the vision sleep, ecstasies induced by the smoke of ritual fires. A visiting Quaker who wanted to meet an Indian chief soon found himself sharing the sacred pipe. The chief explained to him, "First we smoke, then we talk. When we began, your smoke was with you and my smoke was with me. Now the whole room is filled with smoke. Now we can talk." The name for this more profound tradition is prayer. In the sacramental world of our early ancestors, everything was done in prayer. That is, in the communion with the wholeness of the mystery in which we find ourselves. The priests and the people of Israel burnt incense as a material expression of their prayer. In both peoples, the prayers celebrated the coming of communion. Now, even in this post-sacramental age, when we see the smoke rising from a bonfire of fallen maple leaves, or when we get a resinous whiff of alder smoke from an island fireplace, we sense the benediction of a spiritual, fleeting presence. As the psalmist of ancient Israel says, "My days pass away like smoke." We let ourselves be transformed in love's sacred flame. We let ourselves become absorbed into the very air we breathe. The apparent nothingness, which is everything. In these words written several decades ago, in a community acquainted with ceremonial smoke, may we find wisdom for our living.
This is a reading from the book of Isaiah in the Hebrew Scriptures. In the year that King Uzziah died, I went to the temple and I saw a figure sitting on a throne, high above me and with a robe that filled the temple. Creatures with 6 wings covered their faces with a pair of their wings, and with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they flew. And they sang to one another of the wonder of the earth. The foundations of the temple shook, and it filled with smoke. And I said, I am so lost, and my people are so lost. I don't know which way to turn, and yet I have seen this vision. I've been immersed in mystery. Then one of the creatures with 6 wings flew to me, holding a live coal that had been taken from the altar with a pair of tongs. It touched my mouth, and I heard myself speaking. I heard myself saying that I will go to be with my wounded people and the mess of my country. I will go and do whatever I can do. These are words from the 8th century before the Common Era. And we hope to find wisdom for our living.
every now and then, and usually when you least expect it, we stumble into a defining moment, and things are never the same again. We are never the same again. Life is never the same again. It's one of those moments you can always name. In the year you graduated, in the year that planes were piloted into the World Trade Center, in the year your father died, in the year your child was killed, in the year you were diagnosed with cancer, in the year that COVID came, in the year that someone turned a gun on someone you love, in the year that suicide changed everything, in the year the fires came, in the year you lost your home. It's the kind of time. One of our ancestors in the storied tradition starts his story by saying, in the year that King Uzziah died, in the year my life changed forever, what did I do? One young man in the ancient world went into a temple in search of something for which he had no name. It was not only his king who had died. It was the father of his friend, the prince. Maybe it was the first time death had gotten personal. Maybe it was the first time death came not to a stranger, but someone he knew. And it was a time of national insecurity, a time of personal crises. The naivety of early adulthood was shattered. In this vulnerable moment, Isaiah takes himself into the temple. All kinds of moments in our lives take us into places in search of something we can trust, in a world where change comes to everything and everyone. There are all kinds of things that bring people through the doors of a church or a mosque or a synagogue or an ashram. Habits, the birth of a child, ceremonies like baptism, marriage, funerals, loneliness, depression, maybe to hear music, maybe to be with other people. Or maybe if you're like a friend of mine, you're just trying out a new pair of running shoes and they just happen to take you on a walk that happens to pass by a church on a Sunday morning, a place you hadn't been in years. For a Jew in the 8th century before the Common Era, in the crisis of his moment, taking himself into the temple seemed a reasonable thing to do. And that's when all hell broke loose. To our 21st century ears, which are deaf to the symbols of another time and culture, this story we heard a moment ago is a rather ridiculous story, full of winged things and full of smoke and voices. But somewhere in the midst of it all, Isaiah finds himself in the presence of mystery, like so many before him and so many of us who would come after him. In the midst of the mess that was confronting his life and his nation, in the midst of tired traditions, Isaiah has stumbled into a defining moment. It was once upon a time, much like our time, a time when the kings are dying, when institutions and customs and traditions and assumptions and economic and political systems are dying. Our authoritative structures are disintegrating. And traditions are taking flight, just like the fabled creatures of Isaiah's mystical moment. We're beginning to see the so-called holy sites and structures that we have built to confine and define mystery. The rites and the sacraments that we've prescribed, the holy days that we've designated, are filling with smoke. They are going up in smoke, just like Isaiah's temple was filled with smoke. Ours is a smoky time. And I'm not just speaking of air quality. I'm speaking of all the smoke that has separated us from certainty. Ours is a smoky time. Again and again, our world is shaken by fires burning out of control, by acts of nature like tsunamis and earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, by acts of hate and acts of fear, by acts of terror and acts of sheer imperfection, and by acts of courage and acts of love, acts of hope and possibility. Like Isaiah, we feel lost. And we cry out. We feel unsure. Our foundations are shaken and the house is full of smoke. In these smoky times, times shrouded in danger and ambiguity. But you know, where there is smoke, there is often a mirror. That was Isaiah's experience. In the midst of all that holy haze, he catches a sidelong glance of himself in a mirror, and he is overcome with a sense of urgency. What's he doing with his life? Has anything he has done in his life really mattered? If this were to be his last breath, would it matter that he'd been born? And he's much too young for a midlife crisis. But he isn't satisfied with what he sees in the mirror. Not only does he feel the waste and the self-absorption of his own life, but he senses the shortcomings of his society, its values and its aspirations, and he laments. And more than that, he repents. He takes a good, long, hard look at what isn't right with his world. And he begins to ask the most important question: how can I help? What can I do? How can I make a difference? We get the sense that he is seized by the mystery of life and by the miracle of his being part of it. And when the smoke clears, he finds himself, and we find ourselves, in the charred landscape where renewal begins, where the stubborn green pushes through scorched earth, where fireweed rises in the courage of its colors. When the smoke clears, we can see the altars are everywhere, that we can never define or confine mystery, but we can catch glimpses of sacredness everywhere and in everyone. The indigenous people of this land and the indigenous people of many parts of the world have long known the sacramental nature of smoke. For centuries, over generations, they have handed down various ceremonial practices involving smoke, whether it's a pipe ceremony, or a smudge, or a sweat lodge ceremony. Smoke is offered for healing, for cleansing, for clearing negative and unhealthy energy. I learned this week that in some Indigenous ceremonies in Australia, particular plant medicines are offered to the fire in order to release their healing property as smoke, as part of a practice to prepare to enter a particular place, a landscape where you come as a stranger. In these smoky times, there's an opportunity for us. An opportunity to open ourselves to ambiguity and mystery. To bravely see ourselves and our world as it is, as it really is. To lament. And to burn our lips on the truth of it all, much as Isaiah did. And then to move beyond our woe is me and woe is our world and say yes to the wonder, not just to the woe. To say yes to feeling our smallness in the bigness of it all, without giving up our small part in it all. To find where we are needed to do whatever it is we can do. And to see that each of us can bring something that's needed, something to somewhere, something to someone. In these smoky times, may our throats get scratchy with truth. May our eyes sting with compassion. And may wonder have its way in us, refiring our passion for life, our need to live, our need to be for one another. May it be so. There are as many ways to pray as there are those who pray. One of the ways we pray is to frame our intentions for the ways that we would seek to live, reminding ourselves of our true north, of our core vision for life as we wish it was, and as we will, in our finest moments, work to make it so. Each time we gather with one another, we take a few moments together to strengthen our intentions, which is to say, we take a few moments to pray in the weakness of words, our longings, our hopes, our dreams. Friends of Jesus once asked their teacher to teach them how to pray. Our tradition has handed down a prayer from that early time. This is a prayer patterned on the prayer of Jesus, restated in contemporary words and language, adapted from the words of Bob Hetherington. We open to the sacredness at the heart of all, called by many names. We open to deep mystery we trust to be love. May we be faithful to the vision of building a beloved community on earth. May there be daily bread to nourish all hunger, forgiveness for the harm we've done, and the capacity to forgive those who have hurt us. May we not feel abandoned in hard times, but find the strength to meet each moment and the courage to walk in the light of deep gratitude. For the light of love is with us now and forever. Amen.
We'll share a few invitations with you as we continue our time together. I want to continue sharing the news that we are working toward reopening and gathering again in person for our Sunday gatherings. And that's going to happen in September, starting on the 12th. And we want to share with you that there will be more information for you about how we're going to do that and what that will look like. We're going to start slow, of course, and so we won't all be returning on that same day, but we'll likely each have an opportunity to choose to come at some point in September. And then as we gather together and start rebuilding our community, we'll go from there, and we'll start coming together in ways that are more familiar to us. So stay tuned for more information about that. This is an invitation to those of you who have joined our online community since we've moved solely online. Perhaps you're new to us and join us online. Perhaps you are not in the Edmonton area and have connected with us, finding our YouTube channel, our live stream, and we value you as members of our community, as people that belong and are important to us. So we just want to make sure that we know who you are and that we can connect with you and speak to you about your needs and your part in our community. So if that describes you, please be in touch with us and let us know who you are. We've been so excited. We've been planning a picnic with our young adults and families with children, and we were set to meet today at 12:30. But because the smoke is what it is, and the grass is wet, and it's just kind of a bit of a miserable day, we have postponed this until next Sunday, when we hope that the weather will cooperate. So for those of you planning to come today for our picnic, we'll do the same thing. We'll just have to wait one more week. And so if you're hearing this invitation for the first time, please be in touch with us. Please plan to join us next Sunday afternoon for a time together. This coming Wednesday on the SSUC lawn, a pop-up concert, a community concert with Bill Bourne and Paul Steffs. Donations are welcome. It's happening this Wednesday evening at 6 until 7, and you're most welcome to join us on the lawn. And speaking of the lawn, it needs care, and we could use a little bit more help to care for the lawn over the summer. Can you offer some time to cut our grass? Can you work in a team of 2 to make sure that we don't overload any one volunteer and that our lawn stays in good shape? Even though it's not growing much these days, well, you know, the weeds are. But if you can help, that would be fantastic. And of course, for the ways that you all help, we appreciate your support of SSUC. These are ways you can donate to us online, by e-transfer, a check in the mail. Any of these ways will help us to continue the work that we're doing, the work here at home and the work that we do to support agencies and partners across the city and across the world. Thank you again.
Go into the sacredness of the world we love. Go into the sacredness of the world we love. To live the change, to be the ones, to stand together in peace and love. Go into the sacredness of the world we love. Go into the sacredness of the world we love. To live the change, to be the ones, to stand together in peace and love. Go into the sacredness of the world we love. Go into the sacredness of the world we love.
Each time we gather, we make a little smoke. As we change the energy of our light from flame to smoke, our way of symbolizing that we are dispersing the light that is within us, between us, among us. And so with today's smoke, May we go into the sacred, scary, smoky world, and may we go together in the confidence of hope, in the courage of kindness, and in a commitment to love. May you be well and safe until we see you again.